How's it going, everybody? Today we're talking California, talking budgets, talking deficits, we're talking illegals. Let's get into it real quick and let's see what's going on. So, this is an LA Times article, not exactly the most right-leaning of papers, if you know what I mean. George Skelton, to balance California's budget, state will stick it to its most vulnerable citizens. The aged, blind, and disabled always get the shaft whenever a governor pulls out his cutting knife. So it was no surprise on Friday when 1.2 million Californians who are aged, blind, or disabled and living on the edge, clinging to government benefits for subsistence, got whacked again, this time by Governor Gavin Newsom. Many Californians were dinged in Newsom's revised state budget proposal, and most of it couldn't be helped without a major tax increase. The governor and California state legislature have projected a $54 billion budget hole to fill because the economy was practically shut down in mid-March when Newsom ordered most people to stay at home to slow the spread of the... Can you imagine that? Just in a 2-month period of time that the shutdown so far has led to them projecting a $54 billion deficit just 2 months. Obviously, it's got lingering effects they're trying to account for because it's not like we're opening today, but the sheer ginormicity of that number, right? 54 billion into deficit. Wow. That will reduce the state government's tax receipts by an estimated 41 billion through June 2021, compared with what Newsom projected when he sent out his original budget proposal in the legislature in January. His revised spending plan totals $203 billion, down $19 billion from what he first proposed. The governor expects to fill the rest of the deficit hole with federal relief money, internal borrowing, accounting gimmicks, those are always great, cash reserves, and some relatively minor tax hikes. Oh, joy! More taxes. Nothing breaks my heart more than making budget cuts, Newsom told reporters. There's a human being behind every single number. A dream that's being deferred. A dream denied. Come on, man. Come on. I recognize these cuts are devastating to so many people. Newsom's heart wasn't breaking enough to propose a major tax increase. Okay, I'll leave that part on the screen there. We're going to skip past that. Go ahead and pause this if you want to read what's on the screen there. We're going to skip down a bit and see where the cuts are coming from. All right, here we go. We finally got to the meat. I'll archive this, and you can check that out. The full thing will be in the description box. Click on the archive link there if you want to read the whole thing. He says, here's the California sin. The Social Security Administration annually calculates inflation and adds a cost of living adjustment to its monthly benefit. And when the budget balancing is tough in Sacramento, state politicians routinely seize that federal COLA money meant for the aged, blind, and disabled. They toss it into the state's general fund. The governor and legislature do that by cutting the state SSP payment by an amount equal to the federal COLA. That must be the tricky accounting they're talking about. It's not much money by most people's standards, but every dollar means a lot to people living on the edge. Budget writers in the state finance department estimate the federal COLA starting January 1 will be $9 for single people and $13 for couples. Their monthly checks will remain the same, but the state will rob them of the Fed's intended COLA. That's interesting. Interesting. Newsom expects the state to net $33.6 million from the heist. That's it. So out of a $54 billion shortfall, that's all they're getting is $33.6 million? Those numbers, do those add up? I don't know. Maybe that adds up, but do you get what he's saying there? Fed is going to go ahead and approve that and issue that, but somehow the state seizes that. So if I was getting $1,000 a month this year, and I'm supposed to be getting $1,009 next year every month, that they would take the extra $9 and put it into a fund? How does it seem possible that it's a federal program that's saying, hey, you're going to get this extra money per month, and then the state is able to seize the money somehow? That is crazy. Okay, we get the gist. All right, let's move on to something else. Check this out. Budget cuts aimed at older adults anger California lawmakers. Oh, they're so angry. Well, not angry enough. California Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to cover a $54.3 billion budget deficit includes slashing $119 million in spending that keep more than 45,000 people out of nursing homes. Some of a series of cuts targeting older adults who are among the most at risk for the new corona. The proposed cuts have angered state lawmakers from both major political parties who say it's irresponsible in light of the current pandemic that has spread through nursing homes across the state. It's one of many conflicts emerging this week as lawmakers hold public hearings examining Newsom's proposal before they must vote on a spending plan by June 15th. So that's good to see that it's both sides. And we know how it is. And I was watching a documentary on this a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was. Oh, no. I remember. It wasn't a documentary. It was actually John Stossel. He's actually still on the air. He's got his own YouTube channel. And sometimes I watch some of his videos. It's got interesting topics. Give it a look. He's a centrist, libertarian type individual. So he should be palatable to both conservatives and liberals. If you see some topics there that you like, maybe give his videos a look. But he was talking about budget cuts and how it never really materializes. Once a program gets enacted, and I'm sure a lot of you know this as well, they just keep dumping money into it, more and more and more and more money. If it looks like it's failing, what's the solution? Dump more money into it. So once people get accustomed to a certain level of spending or a certain level of monetary support for whatever program it is, to even cut that by 5%, 10%, they're going to be banging on their congressman's door, banging on the senator's door. No, don't cut my programs. I mean, everybody wants more money, right? And that's the cycle. It just keeps creating more and more of a need, more and more of the handout, is what you see here. Everybody says, oh no, we're at most need. We're the most needy. We need more and more money. It says here Newsom's plan to cover that deficit includes painful cuts across most government programs, including public education, environmental protections, and state worker salaries. Ooh, baby. But the cuts targeting programs for older adults have alarmed advocates who have likened them to a death sentence. All right, we got something else. This is an article from something called Charon, CHRON.com. I'm not familiar with it again, but California lawmakers balk at Newsom's $2.9 billion spending request. Now, this is actually something different. Remember, we're talking about deficits in the previous two and all these cuts that need to happen. But here, California lawmakers are balking at a request from Governor Gavin Newsom to let him spend another $2.9 billion on related expenses with little oversight. They have already given Newsom $1 billion to spend on the crisis as he sees fit. Money he has used to buy hotels and bankrupt hospitals to boost the state's capacity to care for the homeless and to treat a surge of the CV patients. That, so far, hasn't happened. That's correct. They're saying the surge, that where this money was spent, and I don't know how much capacity is being used at these facilities he's purchased, but they're right. That surge hasn't yet happened. It says here, but the Newsom administration also okayed several high-priced deals for masks and other personal protective gear from dubious sources. And one of those I covered was a deal with China. It was a video I did a couple weeks ago where he inked a $900 million deal with China and wouldn't show anybody the paperwork. They said a FOIA request was put in. A conservative group, I believe, put it in. But a FOIA request was put in, or not a FOIA, but a request for the contract. And they're like, oh, we'll get it to you next month. Must be great, right? Deals that were eventually canceled or partially refunded when the equipment never materialized. So maybe that was part of that deal. The state eventually got the money back, but the process has concerned lawmakers who have urged Newsom to be more transparent in his spending decisions. That's government at work, everybody. Fuck. It's time and time again, no matter what state you live in. I know it's red, it's blue, it's everybody. They're so wasteful. And that's why I just hate politics. I hate politicians. I hate them. And that's why I just don't participate. I know that makes me just as guilty, right? But it's just stuff like this I just can't stand. Okay, now, so we've got deficits, we've got programs being cut, nursing homes, Social Security, public education, state salaries, probably EBT, welfare, stuff like that. But wait, now it gets even better. And this is what I'm going to wrap it up on. Undocumented immigrants can begin applying for state coronavirus relief. Undocumented, let's just call them illegal illegal Californians may begin applying for disaster assistance payments of $500 per person and up to $1,000 per household. What deficit? What budgetary shortfall, right? The California government has made available $75 million to help a projected 150,000 illegal aliens weather the CV crisis. To qualify, applicants must show that they are ineligible for federal assistance programs stemming from the CV pandemic, such as the CARES Act or federal unemployment benefits, and that they have endured a hardship from the pandemic, and that should be all of them. They should all be ineligible because they're illegal. Only adults may apply, a state guide to commonly answered questions, blah, blah, blah. All right, so how it works is an individual can get $500 up to $1,000 per household. So if you've got 2 illegals in the household, or 10, or whatever number it is that they fit into a household, you can only get $1,000 total. And that's family, obviously. If you got 4 different illegal families of 2 people each living in the same house, not saying that happens, makes you wonder if each one would get the $500, whether it's household by name or household by address. That's a question, right? But interestingly enough, I scrolled it down a little bit so you can read some more about that if you want. But interestingly enough, they talk about $75 million there. They also got another $50 million that they were trying to raise from private donors. Remember in the first part of the video I did where they were talking about that $33 billion in terms of taking money from the disabled, elderly, blind, Californian taxpayers, legal American citizens. That money they thought was going to amount to $33 billion from the COLA, but yet here you're giving $75 million to illegals. Why not just not steal the COLA from Americans? Why? With the money you're giving to illegals, you could take the COLA that they're going to get from federal and double it, right? 33 million times 2 still doesn't add up to 75. I don't know. That's all I've got. Budgets, deficits, illegals, cuts. California, baby. Gotta love it. All right, everybody. Take care. And hopefully you have a good day. Be well, everybody.